Today, I think our focus is going to be a much more personal focus, much more looking at the university in the last 50 years, both here and perhaps elsewhere. I don't know what exactly you would like to talk about through the eyes of our revered senior professor, director of the Center for Global Peace, Professor Said. Thank you. Thank you.
Michael, above all, we in this community are grateful to you for the remarkable leadership that you have given the honors program, and by doing that to honor us, your brothers and sisters in this community. And sitting here for me now is altogether unreal and real. But it is my custom addressing others to begin with a prayer. And I have asked Kate to read that prayer. Kate, please read it with heart in it.
Okay. The prayer for peace?
Prayer
Okay.
for peace.
Prayer for peace. Turning the tide from violence to peace begins with prayer. In prayer, we can nurture our light in the spirit of strength and compassion with the hope that it will illuminate the consciousness of darkened souls whose suffering has made a home to terror. We pray that our light be used to warm and give comfort to those places in the heart that have surrendered to hatred and despair, and bring clarity and peace to their hearts. This is a prayer of dignity. We pray for human dignity to rise from the spirit by remembering all of the men, women, and children who have lived and continue to live with fear and horror as present and constant companions. This is a prayer of humanity. We pray for the military and civilian men, women, and children who themselves are struggling with the fear and ugliness of man's inhumanity to man. This is a prayer of interdependence. Let us connect our hearts and energies with the world and its beings, so that those poor souls who are caught up in the storm of violence may know peace.
Thank you, Kate. I have asked Kim to also read what I call remembrance. Kim, would you please read it? Put your heart in it.
Let us remember the children, women, and men everywhere who live with injustice and disease as their constant companions. Let us connect with our sisters and brothers who spend their lives establishing equal protection of the law and equal opportunity for all. Let us celebrate all of the people who have spent their lives helping make the world a community of justice and peace. Let us do what we can that every person may enjoy a fair portion of the riches of our planet Earth. Let us honor our humanity and ourselves.
Now, Kate and Kim have been extremely busy helping me preparing for today. And would you mind distributing what you guys have? That everyone has a copy. Thank you. A friend that I have not seen since my first week in the United States. Destiny had it for us to get together at an airport. Oh, God. We remembered one another. He said, "What are you doing? I haven't seen you over 50 years. I said, "Teaching." He said, Said, teaching does not amount to a hill of beans. I said, you know something? I work in a gold mine. I work in a mountain of gold. That's where I work. It's a gold mine. It's a mountain of gold, not a hill of beans. It's good to be in the gold. Yeah. And a couple of years ago, a colleague of mine, he started teaching together back in 57. He said, what are you teaching these days? I said, peace studies. He said, my God, after 50 years you are still seated in the back of the bus? I said, come and visit the back of the bus. Yeah. Thinking about that. Thinking about that. It was in this space back in 1958. This space was bigger. It was taller. This was where our faculty council met. And this was sitting here, sat in the back as an instructor. So what you have before you is what we have prepared. You will see the first page, it is dedicated to education. These are magnificent people on this campus. Alita Davis, next time you are at Mary Graydon, ask for her. Ask for her. And James Johnson, you see someone almost older than God, between buildings with a car in the morning, cleaning. That's him. That is James. And Maria Perla, she cleaned the School of International Service. And the entire custodian staff, who are magnificent caretakers. Without them, we couldn't do what we are doing. Without them, we could not do our work. And with them, our task is support. I want to share that with you, and of course the acknowledgement are people like yourself, and then I have also an outline of handouts that you are given. And then also we have the establishment of this university, and at the backside, which I don't have, I think you have a backside before that.
You have one, Supervisor.
Oh, we have one, yeah, you have that, yeah. Just want to share that with you. Yes. There's a story about a man going to a quarry, you know, quarry where people work with stones, and came to the first person and inquired, what are you doing? And the person said, I'm making a living. The person was saying the truth. Came to the other person doing the identical thing and inquired, what are you doing? And the person said, I'm dressing stones. Again, that person was telling the truth. Came to another person and inquired, what are you doing? And the person said, I'm building cathedrals. The women and men who built this university were building a cathedral. They knew that they were making a living, but they also had discovered the technique of dressing stones. But they saw the bigger picture that they are building cathedrals. Yes. a new research came in, who are some of the important names that we came across as founders of this place?
Certainly Bishop Hurst.
Bishop Hurst, read about them. You have their names here. Read about these women and men. And about our law school, established by women for women. Oh yes. Oh yes. You read about American University of putting ideas into action. Oh yes. Bishop Oxnam Bromley, 50 years ago, was the Metropolitan Bishop of the Methodist Church, was instrumental in the life of this university. And when Senator Joe McCarthy of the House Un-American Activities Committee orders universities to send names and their professors to testify, and many great universities did send their professors to testify before the committee and were humiliated. Bishop Oxnam stood up and said, no professor from this university will ever appear before the committee. And I remember I was a student. And I remember my professor, Sam Shaw, blessed be his soul, who had been asked and invited to testify because he had written a book entitled White Eagle of the Red Field about Poland, in which he was questioning the Cold War. And he was questioning this whole issue of the Cold War. Would come to class and not knowing whether next day he would be in prison or out of prison. I have his photograph in my office. Come and see Sam Shaw. This is this university. This is this university. And it's also this university that welcomed back from Vietnam naval officers, army officers, Air Force officers to pursue master's degrees in our university. And I remember that. And I went to the Vietnam War Memorial only once. I couldn't take it. I kept weeping. I saw their names. Because many of them came and went back and were dead and were killed. Yes, ideas and action, yeah. This university has a heart as big as the universe. It's really tough. As big as the universe. Big embrace. It was here in this space 50 years ago when the Faculty Council of American University, after hearing about 4 Jewish students who could not join fraternities because our fraternities on campus were all sectarian. They would not admit Jews, Catholics, blacks. And these 4 Jewish kids who had been paying tuition like everyone else and who had been paying activities fees could not join. And it was in this blessed hope that the faculty voted to establish the Jewish community on our campus 5 extra times. We were one of the first universities to have a national Jewish fraternity. Yes, yes, yes. Embrace. We have never had quotas. Never. This university had never had quotas. Had never closed its doors to persons because of their religion, because of their color, because of their gender. There are no quotas. At one time, I'm sad to admit that things have changed, not for the better. At one time, about 12% of our students were blacks at this university. I hardly see them on campus. It's too expensive. Not because we don't admit them, it's too expensive. It is. And they're in place. And you'll be proud to know that this university was among the first universities back in the 60s to introduce tripartite governance. That's right. Governance by students, faculty, staff, and administration. And for many, many years, the University Senate was composed of students, staff, faculty, and administration. But we kicked the administration out. Back in the late 70s, professors came and said, hey guys, now, why should we have deans and vice presidents as members of the Senate? Well, good idea. So we started exploring that. And sure enough, we had a real battle between faculty, students, and administration. And all the administrators were asked, it was a battle, it was a battle. They lost their place in the university Senate. Yes, yes, yes. This is sacred for me. This is sacred ground. As I close my eyes and look around, I see their faces. I see Sam Sharp, I told you saying. I see Sam Sharp and remember his wit. And I remember Lord Michael Lindsay and Sam Sharp. Lord Michael Lindsay was an English lord. For many years he had fought with Mao Zedong in China. And he came to American University to teach Far Eastern Studies. And he was convinced that the Cold War is a war of right and wrong, good and evil, communism and freedom. He was convinced of that. And Sam Sharp was convinced of the opposite. And I love their debates. He said, look at the debates that were going on. Remember the face of First Anderson, president of our university back in the 50s and 60s. And I remember many personal experiences with him. And I remember those days a faculty member or a student would go and see the president, the vice president. Yes. In those days, my dearly beloved people, back in the mid-50s, we hated coming to campus. We had the downtown campus. We loved downtown. 18th Street, 19th Street, 20th Street, 24th Street, G, H, F. Property we sold to George Washington University. A good deal of our posters were given there. Our offices were there. And I remember when I became an instructor, I said, my God, they sent me to have an office in first floor. I said, please, can I stay downtown? Why come to first floor? What they said, don't like first floor, send you to McKinley. So I have had the pleasure of having offices here at McKinley. In the 50s, when you think back of campus, we had this building much more attractive than what it is now. I see it. And John Richardson was assuring us that he thinks it may go back to the way it was. We had Battelle, which was 1/4 of what it is now. Battelle was our library. It was library, it was music hall, it was dating place, it was when you go and meet your date behind books. That was it. And we had 2 rooms where we could hear the music, and we would take a date with you and hear the music close the door. That was Battelle. 1/4 of what it is. Then there was Mary Graydon, and you have all the information with what Kate and Kim have prepared for us. And Mary Graydon was 1/4 of what it is now. Mary Graydon was, guess what? It was a dormitory. And boys couldn't go to the floors up because girls were there, and whenever they were permitted to go up, the girls had to keep the doors open. That was really great. I remember I was faculty advisor to Phi Epsilon Phi fraternity in those days. And I remember the dean of women calling me, Said, you boys are getting drunk on campus, and they went to the second floor. Like they committed a great sin. Going to the second floor. I mean, that was it. How could you go to the second floor? Then we had McKinley. So Hearst, Martha Bethel, McKinley, the office of the president, the house on the hill, that was the house of the president and it was the office of the president. No SIS, no water circuit, nothing else. Hamilton building at the end. That was it. That was the campus. And Mary Graydon was dormitory. Oh, the bookstore was in Mary Graydon too. So Mary Graydon was everything. It was the bookstore, it was the dorms, it was a faculty dining area. That was Mary Graydon. And 63, before Kennedy died, he spoke on campus. And at that time, where the library is now, they had set chairs. That was the general area. And what you should know, his speech that year was the beginning of the end of the Cold War. It's recorded in history. When Kennedy made this statement, we want to make the war safe for diversity. That was an acknowledgement of the willingness for coexistence. Not make the war safe for freedom or for liberty, but for diversity. And that speech went in history. Anytime you hear about that, the speech at American University. The speech at American University. And there were many magnificent faces too, my God. Petra Kelly, she was a pain in the neck of the administration, of the faculty. Petra Kelly was a student here, back in the late 60s. A German student whose father had died, whose mother had married an American, Colonel John Kelly, was raised in Norfolk, came here to go to get education. And every day she would have 50 ideas about what to do on campus. Activism, international week, all sorts of committees, all sorts of service, all sorts of outreach. When she finished, she said goodbye. She said, I'm going back to Germany. She went back to Germany. Established the Green Party. She's the founder of the Green Party. Ran for parliament. Became a member of parliament. And God bless her soul, died about 10, 12 years ago. But the leadership of Germany now, the foreign minister, the interior minister, all of them are her colleagues. Together they did the Green Party. So among our students, I remember Canaan Banana, who became president of Zimbabwe. That's right, he's a student of this university. The current president of Iraq, Ghazi Yawar, graduate. He didn't graduate, but he went to school at American University. And many, in fact, the Undersecretary of Public Diplomacy now, Patricia Harrison, a graduate of American University. Patricia Harrison is co-chair of the National Republican Committee. So that's so we have that tradition. I say that because years ago I was pained by meeting some of the younger professors. Because there's a sense among some people they are here because they couldn't be any other place. In the old days. And there was a sense of professors that they are here because they couldn't teach any other place. Same with staff. But all of that has changed. One of them, because what they discovered when they came here, they discovered the cathedral. They discovered this place. They have not heard, Michael, about the big times of the American University. I remember I sat with a colleague of mine who had done her work at MIT. He said, well, few people have done it at you. I said, sit down. When your university gave names to McCarthy, my university didn't do it. Okay? That's for beginners, and we can continue and keep going and talk more about it. So we have to have big times. I'm honored that you have invited me to be here because I want to ask you for a huge favor. That's the honest. For a huge favor. To think about celebrating American University and its traditions annually. Maybe 1 week becomes American Heritage Week, whatever wants to call it. During that week, to invite some of our distinguished alumni from all over the world. They would come. I meet them. Presidents, cabinet ministers, generals, admirals, ambassadors, American ambassadors, American diplomats. Invite them. Some of them would come. Invite some of our faculty that has retired, that have been doing great things. And invite our students to be with them. And have workshops with them about who we are, about where do we want to go. Where do we want to go? As a university. Because this university, I remember when Duffy came to this year, Joe Duffy. I remember then I was chair of the University Senate. And I remember him addressing us as a faculty and community. He said, you know, I'm sorry that our sources, we have limited resources. He was bemoaning the fact that we don't have money. When he finished, I stood up. I said, Joe, you don't know who we are. We have unlimited human resources. We have unlimited talents in this university. I see your point about the material, sure. But this case has, to rephrase Churchill, never before in history have people done so much with so many little material resources as American university has. Really, I mean it. And when you think of it's unbelievable that a place like our place, with its limited material resources, you know why? You know the secret? Because of the students and the faculty. That's why. They are the greatest resource we have. Because it's a mountain of gold. It really is. This is, and the more we tap those resources, the better off we are. And looking around, I haven't had the pleasure of meeting some of you, but I have met others, and I see some of the great resources here. So one idea is heritage, American University heritage. It can be funded. I would be very happy to work with anyone who wants to do that, to help you get the funding from the Board of Trustees. Half of the Board of Trustees, I know them. They were either students or friends of mine. I've worked with them. All the buildings that you see named here, Jacobs was a thief tank from Fayette, and you name it. These are people who love this university. But that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking for more. For more, we can think about artwork on this campus to celebrate our students, to celebrate our alumni, to celebrate our faculty. Some artwork to be sculptures that speaks to who we are, that speak to our achievements. Because you know what I have seen? Anti-American, sometimes that has paid me. What sometimes has paid me was our sense of insecurity. And what that does, it becomes erosive of leadership. We eat up leadership. But you see, we have so much to be proud of in this university. We really do. I travel, I have taught in Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Brazil, Europe, you name it. And no place have I been where I have not met someone from the American University who speaks about her or his experience with a Michael or a Sam or remembering people on his campus. Unbelievable, all over the world. I mentioned 2 presidents. There are so many others, so many others. As I talk, I keep seeing and remembering names and faces and remembering voices. Remember Jim Weaver, God bless him. Jim is still around. Meet Jim Weaver. If you have not met Jim Weaver, half of your life is wasted. Jim, you see him sometimes in our spiritual sector, Professor of Economics, retired at an early age. I can see his face, hear his voice. And Schubert, my God, Professor Schubert, in the chemistry department, Leo Schubert, some great, remarkable human beings who were always steadfast in defending the students, defending the traditions of academic freedom. Yes, and Richard Berenson, who had the vision for this university, who is professor of physics at this time. Go and meet this, get to know them. Let them, Abdul Aziz asked me to come and meet you. They are around campus, they are in every department. They are members of the staff. They are, my God, I mean, Michael, I mean, the more I think. So I'll conclude with a story. Began with this story. Since we are in an academic environment. Story about a person who was desperately looking for his keys under the bright lights, and a friend was passing by and said, "Tell me, what are you looking for?" He said, "I lost my keys." So he started trying to help him to find the keys. Couldn't find them. He said, "Jim, tell me exactly where did you lose your keys?" Well, he said, "I lost them in the alley behind, but there are no lights in the alley. I'm looking for them under the bright lights." Look for truth every place, every place. Particularly the dark places, because truth is scattered all over. Knowledge is scattered all over. Scattered all over. So we have to look for it every place and any place. That is the tradition of this university. Thank you, Michael, for bringing me. I'll sit here.
Yeah, no, we're not going
ask
anywhere.
questions
Sure.
about events, people. I mean, I close my eyes and I see, I see Lou Sibbons. Lou was a great. Lou was president of the student council. He created the tavern on campus. Way back in, Lou created that in the late 60s. Lou was very conservative. At the time when the student body was liberal. And he was president of the student council, confederation. Brilliant. And I remember Lou debating with the provost of the university, and he called him the Grand Vizier because he disagreed with him. Because at no time you could do these things and do it, yeah. And then I remember SDF, the Students for Democratic Action. Campus was boiling, our students closed the circle, war circle, traffic jam, traffic couldn't move, police came with gas, and things were going on. And Lou was on the other side. That was fascinating. And we had debate. Lou was against this demonstration. He says, waste of time, and people were demonstrating. And Lou had his colleagues, and the other side had their colleagues going on. Then everyone met on the steps of Mary Graydon. And speeches were made on the steps of Mary Graydon. And SDS and others, that day they wanted the university to end training the police. We had a police training program on campus, training the police. And SDS and others, they said, we don't want to train the pigs, they call them pigs. So it was on the steps of Mary Graydon, and the SDS types were giving speeches, and speeches, we don't want to train the pigs, we don't want to train the pigs, and the training of the pigs. And they were waiting for Soto and the Black Students Organization to join them. So Moose Foster comes. The leader of the SDS at that, I think, was Harry Zender from Philadelphia. Moose Foster comes, Black student, and everyone's waiting. Moose will. So Moose looks at the crowd. He said, "Where do you live?" Versus McLean, Virginia. He said, "How about you?" He said, "Bethesda." "How about you, Cherry Cherry?" He said, "Hey guys, I want the pigs trained because I live in the ghettos. And I want educated pigs because the pigs are dealing with my people." That was the beginning of the separation of the anti-war movement and the civil rights, because they have different goals. They have different goals. And the black students stood in favor of training the police. Moose Foster is a professor someplace. Story like that. Coming back here.
That's a wonderful story.
Wonderful story. Yeah, must be trained. And again, if you haven't met Gary Weaver, meet Gary Weaver. Gary Weaver is one of the old timers here. Gary is a professor now. He was a student in those days. And Gary was one of the student leaders on campus. And then became one of the faculty leaders on campus. And he's now a member of the University Senate. He's in the Senate. Yeah. So this is where we are. Sacred ground. Sacred ground. Big embrace. Global mind. Big embrace, sacred. Now, people ask me, how do you find sacred? Very simple. For me, any process that brings me to the greatest context to which I belong, meaning any process that makes me experience myself as poor, as rich, as black, as white, as gay, as not gay, I am experiencing a sacred. And this place is that. It's a sacred ground. It really is. It's a sacred ground that enables us to experience the greatest context to which we belong. I have felt it. For me, it's my home. I came here as a kid. And I'm still a kid at heart. But I came as a kid. Yes?
I was wondering if you could tell us what brought you more to AU. You just mentioned that you were a kid when you came here. I was wondering if you could give us a little more background about what prompted you to come to AU.
What brought me at AU at that time, well, talking about the mid-50s, was the name of Pittman Benjamin Potter. Pittman Benjamin Potter was professor of international law. American University had a great department of international relations, one of the leading in the United States. To give you an idea about Pittman Benjamin Potter, Harvard-educated, completely tall, lanky, magnificent human being, beautiful on the outside, gorgeous on the inside. Who after all of his education decided rather than make money, go and volunteer to help Haile Selassie and defend him. And an Arab classmate of mine was taking courses with him. That's what brought me to it. And I had the good fortune of sitting at his feet, becoming his teaching assistant later. And he retired. He retired in 57 or 58, I think 57. I have his photograph in my office. Magnificent human being. I remember many times I would be scared shitless about things, and sitting in his presence, experiencing his grace. Because of his grace, you are permitted to experience your pain with him. You grow with him in grace. But then there were others. I'm coming then discovering Edgar Robinson. My God, what a beauty. Edgar Robinson. What a beauty. Catherine Sackler Hudson, another beauty. Catherine Sackler Hudson taught us political science. Magnificent woman. Big hats. Founding dean of the School of Government, is now the School of Public Affairs. Very nurturing, great scholar. Edgar Robinson. Edgar's still alive. Meet Abdul Aziz. Once in a while he appears on campus. He's about 2 years older than I got by now, but that's okay. Then meeting all the others that were here at that time. And, Donald Derby, Vice President, well, at that time they didn't have big titles like now. He was like Vice President. And Richard Bray, Mary Eloise Bradshaw. These were the people. Eli Nobleman, and this stuff, big stuff. And you know, it has been a magnificent journey. Magnificent journey. Magnificent. Yeah, people ask me, why don't you retire? I said, you nuts, you crazy. Doing what I love, with the people I love, and people who love me, nuts. Yeah, why did I? That's it. But it has grown so well over the years. I think we have become one of the important and great universities. In certain departments, we are in the top 10 in the United States. Other departments, top 20, top 50. Let's face it. I kid my friends at Georgetown. I said, you go to Georgetown. I said, Georgetown, I thought you have discotheques and nightclub. Now you have a university. We kid one another.
So I have some questions.
Questions, comments. How about the idea about American heritage? Do something about, think about that. Maybe you can create a committee. Maybe it could be the function of the honors board. Honors board become this function. I mean, who else? You guys can do it. Become the function to remind people who we are and where are we going. Do it in the spring. Get the money for it. Yes?
I grew up in South Bend, Indiana.
Yeah.
Right by
I know something.
right by the University of Notre Dame.
You
And
bet, yeah.
It always sort of had a sense of history.
That's right.
And it's only about 50 years older than AU.
That's right.
But I don't really see that same sense of history here. And I was wondering if you could reflect on maybe why that is, why some universities have the sense of history and why AU doesn't seem to have the, like for instance on the front of this hall it says the College of History, and when I was on a tour, the tour guide said we have no idea why it says College of History, and that struck me as odd. Like, you know, how did you lose that sort of bit of information?
Well, you know, you have just mentioned something. What's your name?
Stephen?
Stephen. Maybe we should make that as a project to find out why. I like this. I love your question. I mean, for me, when you have the question why, immediately what came to mind, it's like Washington in a way. Transients, people come and go, never think with their home. There has been a sense of transiency that I come to AU to improve my grades to go to another place. or I come here, teach for a year or two, and there has been that. But this has changed. This is the old mentality. That's not true anymore. Like a friend of mine who's a pretty deal, what's his name, Kluge, John Kluge. I met John Kluge and at a dinner, and he said, you look, he said, despite your Scandinavian appearance, are you by any chance a Middle Eastern? I said, yes. He said, do you play backgammon? I said, sure. So I played backgammon. I played backgammon until 5 in the morning. True story. This was in Saint-Paul-de-Vence, South France, out of Nice. So when first playing, I said, John, I said, now, if I were to go back to AU and tell my friends, I played backgammon with you till 5 in the morning, and I did not get at least $10 million from you, they would think either I'm a fool or I'm lying. He says, Said, I give my money to Colombia. He has gone to Colombia. I said, yeah. I said, what's the problem to you? He said, you know what the problem to you? I said, he said, you suffer from the politics of poverty. He said, poor people are always afraid of losing money. That's why they don't make money. I mean, part of what, the question is very important. I mean, to know who we are. That's why I'm very much concerned about this American heritage. Or other things, not that no one will do it. But that's who we are. I mean, I meet young faculty members here who come here. I've been teaching for 2 years. They don't know who we are. I said, wait a little. These are things that we have done. I think partly is communication, partly is attitude. Partly is because as American, we have dabbled with many visions. There are those who came to American, who wanted American to be Harvard on the Potomac. That was my dearly beloved friend Richard Barrison when he was president. I love Richard, great guy. I said, Richard, rather than make us Harvard on the Potomac, what we should do is what Harvard would do if they were here. If Harvard were here, what would they do? So they have that vision. There's also a vision that has come up and on, make us into a giant store, a supermarket. Well, we don't have those capabilities. We don't have the capabilities of being a supermarket. But then there are those and look here, since we don't have the capabilities, let's become a convenience store, a 7-Eleven. But I say, let us become a great boutique that we are, a great specialty store. We are, that's what we are. We have done that, we can do that. Because 7-Eleven, you go to 7-Eleven when you are cooking and there's no milk, you rush to get the milk and come back. That's why they did that. So there has to be an articulated vision of who we are. Let's face it. And we know who we are, but sometimes we don't. So I think that needs to be researched, looked at, people like, because for you, for me, this is our home. It is who we are. So I think that's part of it. And when I spoke earlier about eros, about leadership, that's why we eat up our leaders. So there has to be this articulated vision. We are not a 7-Eleven. We are more than a convenience store, please. Yeah. We can be a supermarket. We don't have to scale. It is mainly financial capabilities. But we certainly can be a great, as we have been, a great specialty place. A great boutique, which we have done in a number of areas. In a way, that's how it began. When you go back to early AU, that's how it began. It began as a graduate school that specialized in public service, scholarship. I'm not saying we should go to that, no, because we have to respond to the times. And also take even greater advantage of the city of Washington. Not that we are not, but we can take even greater advantage of the city.
It is interesting to wonder as we sit here and talk about history, why this building says that it is the College of History.
Let's find out. Kim, did you find out, Kim?
Well, okay, it was,
Yes, yeah, Kim.
okay.
Let's go to Kim, yeah.
This building, obviously, it's called Hearst, for the founder, Hearst, Bishop Hearst. It is named the College of History because it was one of the original buildings for the graduate school. I believe that there was a library downstairs at some point, and there were classrooms and offices, a lot of things, and it was part of the original graduate school that one of the things that they taught was history, and I'm pretty sure that's right.
That's great. Okay, thank you. I mean, thank you for that, and thank you really for, and what I view what Kate and Kim did as the beginning of the project. That should be continued. And you know, the outspoken is a great place to do that. Yes?
I think part of the thing we were doing with Susan McElrath, the library archivist, for next month, she would actually like to work with honor students and others who are interested in further documenting some of the history and maybe developing some of these projects over time. So this is, I think you're planting the seeds as you oftentimes do.
Well, that's beautiful. Since it's written that. I mean, it's no accident that she is coming, that we are here, and planting the seeds. Yeah, I work with a program called Seeds of Peace. What you do, you plant the seeds, and they grow. But for the seeds to grow, they have to be planted. And when they're planted, they die to give birth. Meaning, to plant the seeds, it's like building bridges. In building bridges, what the mistake many of us do, we live on the bridge so people can't pass through. And in planting seeds, we don't permit the seed to die to grow because our egos become involved. So egos have to be. The reason we need vision helps us from becoming conceited. Vision is important because it helps us from, it protects us from self-centeredness. It engages the energies of people. That's why vision is important. Imagination comes up. People feel that, yes. So we need that kind, and this cannot be imposed. Vision can never be imposed. It has to come. Presidents can do it, kings can do it, we can do it. That's yeah.
I have a different sort of question.
Sure.
You know, today AU has a large number of international students, but back in the 50s and 60s, the American landscape was quite different. And I'm curious to know about your experiences here as a student and how you felt.
When I was a student in the whole city of Washington, back in the 50s, probably we were like 10 students from the Middle East, 10 or 15. We knew one another. University of Maryland, American Georgetown Catholic, George Washington. We would cook together. We were arrested together. Never forget. This is history. So one day, about 4 or 5 of us were together, going to the Playhouse Theater, which was a movie house on what is now 15th between H and I. It's not a movie theater anymore. This was 54, I guess. So Khalid, who was rich, the richest of all of us, he always treated us, restaurant, the movies, he paid for all of us. When we came to enter the theater, one of us is black, Saudi Arabia, Abbas. So as we entered, they said, he can't. We were shocked, we didn't know what was going on. He said, so we looked at the movie, people said, this is not integrated. There was no integration at that time. So we were pretty angry what's going on. So we decided to go to, on New York Avenue at 14th Street, there was a cafe, I forgot the name, some have the name. We decided to go there and have a beer. As we go in, same story. So we go in. We kept going one place after another. Then, in an act of, we are recording that. Then he wanted to find a men's room. We can't. you are black? No, I didn't. So in solidarity, we went to K between 14th and 15th. There was like a parking lot. We all together did that thing. And we were arrested.
You were arrested?
We were taken to K Street for about half an hour. We told the guys, look here, what do we do now? So there were very few students at that time. American had very few students, international students. Our great expansion, 60s, 70s, we have hundreds of students from Iran. They were sent by their government from many other places, from the Middle East. At one time on this campus, we had 13% international students, sometimes 14%. I think now it has